Okay, I think I will get started. I know more people will probably join in the next few minutes. Thank you all for attending. I'm April Harrington. I'm the project manager of the Chicagoland Healthcare Workforce Collaborative. This is the fourth of our 2023 Lunch and Learn series. It's titled Training and Development at the Heart of Your Career, presented by the team at Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital, and I'll let them introduce themselves in just a moment. Before we get there, just in case anyone is new to CHWC, we are an employer-led healthcare, an employer-led sector partnership. We have over 13 of the major health and hospital system in Chicagoland at the table, supported by probably over 20 strategic partners, which include training providers, community organizations, and workforce development organizations. And we are all here to support an inclusive healthcare workforce, to provide accessibility for unemployed and underemployed populations, and to develop innovative responses to the ever-evolving needs for talent in the healthcare sector. So we do that by focusing on local and targeted hiring, by bridging the gap with our education and training providers, and by focusing on retention and career pathways, so that we're not just bringing people into frontline positions, but we are providing opportunities to advance into quality careers. If you are new to CHWC and you'd like to learn more and get more involved, please feel free to email me. I'll drop my email in the chat. And before I pass it off to the Lurie team, I just wanted to highlight a few other upcoming events. Two of these are external. One of them is CHWC hosted. The next one that's in just a couple of days from now, on June 8th, is another webinar hosted by CareerStat. That is a group out of the National Fund for Workforce Solutions. CareerStat specifically focuses on healthcare workforce development. So if you don't know about them, I encourage you to look into them. That one's called Building Inclusive Pathways to Skill Building and Advancement. They're going to highlight a couple of models. One is a model that engages internationally trained healthcare professionals in New York City. That's a partnership with Upwardly Global that operates in Chicago as well. And the other is highlighting second chance hiring initiatives at Atrium Health in Charlotte. And I'm going to drop the registration links to these in the chat in just a moment. The second one here, I would love for all of you to attend. We are having our first in-person CHWC quarterly meeting since 2019, since before COVID, next week on June 13th, that's Tuesday. It'll be a little bit longer than our normal quarterly meetings. So there's breakfast, time for networking. We'll have a full group meeting where there will be some presentations, including one from Senator Durbin's team on the HEAL initiative. And there will also be breakout sessions. So I'm really excited about the opportunity for everyone to really engage in conversation in person. There will be, activities with Post-its and brainstorming. It's going to be great. So I hope to see you there. And then finally, there is another webinar on June 22nd, another Lunch and Learn that's hosted by Rapid Illinois, which is out of the UIC School of Public Health. They've sort of convened a community of practice of folks who are doing career development programs in healthcare, specifically for young people. And that one's all about evaluating your health career pathway programs and initiatives. And if you don't know about Rapid Illinois, I definitely recommend that you check them out as well. So I am going to drop all those registration links in the chat. I will also drop my email if you would like to talk about CHWC. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Stevie Rodriguez, who is, I had your title up and I forgot, Stevie. I'll let you introduce yourself and she'll introduce the whole team from Lurie and get us started. Thank you so much, Stevie.
Thanks, April. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me know if you can see that presentation.
We see it.
Okay, perfect. So good afternoon. We are so excited to be speaking with you today and presenting on our topic, training and development at the heart of your career. We can go ahead and get started with some introductions. There'll be a few of us speaking today, so I will pass it off to my colleagues, Joanne, Maria, and Jessica to introduce themselves, and then I'll kind of round us out and get us started.
Okay, great. I could go. My name is Maria Rivera. I'm the Director of Mentorship and Workforce Development.
I can go next. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jessica Duarte, and I'm the Program Manager on the Mentorship and Workforce Development team here at Lurie's with Maria. Nice to meet you all. And I'll pass it over, I think, to Joanne. Joanne is next.
I think she had to reconnect, so she'll be coming. And then we are also joined by Eileen as well. Do you want to give yourself an introduction, Eileen?
Sure. I'm Eileen Boyle. I'm the Senior Director of Talent Acquisition. Stevie and I work closely together on this with our peers within Lurie Children's, and super excited to be here today. So thank you.
Thank you. So hi, everybody. My name is Stevie Rodriguez. I am one of the Senior Recruitment Coordinators here in Talent Acquisition. I've been with Lurie Children's for just over a year. And I'm hoping everybody can hear me well, but if for whatever reason there are any technical issues with my sound throughout the presentation, please send me a message or get off mute and let me know. And also, please do leave yourselves on mute unless you're speaking or you have a question. So we will go ahead and kick things off with a roadmap to our presentation. So you're all informed of what to expect along with some learning objectives. There's not going to be a quiz at the end of this presentation, so no worries. But we do want to cover the following, and hopefully you all can take something away from this as well. But we'll start with the importance of workforce development, and then open to a discussion with all of you in the audience about the difference, if any, between a job and a career. And then I will hand it over to my colleague Maria to talk about developing early careerists and her work in the mentorship and workforce development team. And then we'll pass it over to Joanne. Hopefully she's on by then to round us out and talk about how Lurie Children's is investing in our current incumbent workers. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to put them in the Zoom chat, or you can wait until the end. I don't believe this presentation will go for the full hour, so we should have some time for some Q&A. So first, we'd like to address why workforce development is so important and why we're investing time and resources into developing our healthcare workers. So ultimately, through investment of mentorship and development, our workers are able to expand their opportunities for upward mobility. Specifically for our employees, this means that their skills, their knowledge, and their experiences can develop, and they'll gain a greater sense of belonging from being invested in and having various possible career advancement opportunities. For our organization, it allows us to support an inclusive and accessible workplace. So if you have to come in for a certain role with a certification or a specific education, and we're providing that education or the opportunity for you to obtain that certification, we are able to make it much more accessible for anyone who is interested to become qualified for the role. And it also broadens our pipeline of talented and qualified candidates. It also positively impacts our retention rates, because if an employee feels that they're being valued and supported in their own career goals, then they're much more likely to stay on and be loyal to the organization. So this is a super general overview, and my colleagues Maria and Joanne will go into the specifics of how Lurie Children's is doing this and what skills we are working on developing for our workers and for early careerists. Before we pass it over to them, we would love to kind of start with a conversation around the difference between what a job is versus a career. So this picture here is one of our employees. He's a certified nursing assistant with one of our patients. I think it's a great example of the passionate healthcare workers that we have here at Lurie Children's. And so I would love for anyone who has any thoughts, initial reactions to the terms job and career. What are those initial thoughts? How do you think those differ, if at all? Feel free to take yourselves off mute. This can definitely be a discussion. If you feel more comfortable putting it in the chat, please do so.
Well, Oh, I guess I'll start it. I definitely do see the difference, especially when I post on LinkedIn. I always mention it as a career versus a job. Job, how I define it is kind of something that's more present, versus a career that would have like a pathway. So like a ladder to where you can progress and see that progression, through the long term.
I love that. Thank you, Laura.
Someone in the chat. Go ahead.
Oh, I think we were going to say the same thing, Eileen. Just
Okay,
reading the
I was
comments
watching the chat for you, but I'll let you go.
Yeah. Someone said, Aaron said, passion to come to work. So I'm assuming that would be for a career, but correct me if I'm wrong. And then opportunity for upward mobility, which is something that we had also spoken of in an earlier slide. So yeah, I would say those are great examples. Does anybody else have any other thoughts they'd like to contribute?
Stevie, I'd like to pose another question to the group and see what a reaction might be. And you know, we need both jobs and careers, and at various stages of our lives we have a career and we have a job, right? And I'm curious, from people that are employers, are hiring managers, or just and people in roles, what their perspective is in terms of that magic of having a balance between them, and also what we have in our current workforce. Looks like we have a couple of things in the chat. Careers offer sustainable wages. A job is going there to make money for a living. Career is enjoying what you do for a living. Hopefully you can find both. I like that, Nancy.
I love that. Yeah, thanks, Nancy. Awesome. Well, those were pretty similar to what we had compiled as well. So to go through those, you kind of all hit them nail on the head. But for a job, we said it was more short term. So kind of, Laura, to what you were speaking of, it being in the present. You're doing work to support and perform your basic needs. In addition, it often doesn't require specialized degree or advanced training. So to your point of sustainable wages, you would more likely find that with advanced education and more required experience. And then we find it's more transactional too. So people are showing up to get their paycheck, going home and coming back to get the job done. Versus a career, we see it as more of a long-term journey to reach and achieve those professional goals or that passion, something that you enjoy doing. And it also involves continuous learning and development, and that's on the employee to drive themselves. And we see it as more, in comparison to a job being transactional, more transformational. So with the right support and mentorship, you are able to achieve that career aspiration or goal. So like Eileen said, a note for both of these is that we do need both in our environment, but our focus is helping those that want a career achieve that. And how can we do that? And so I would love to take this time to toss it over to Maria so that she can speak on her work in developing early careerists and her work in the mentorship and workforce development team.
Thank you, Stevie. Can everyone hear me? Having problems with this. Okay, I wanted to start off in saying, and part of our mission is to empower students from underrepresented backgrounds and help them discover the unlimited possibilities in healthcare through our workforce development programs. And as you see here, our very first program I was able to create back at Children's Memorial Hospital 23 years ago. And that program was the program that sort of kicked off all the other programs. But the reason for back then our former CEO allowing me to start this program was because we were trying to mirror our very fast growing population of patient care. And also, more importantly, reaching out to underserved neighborhoods where the schools that these students were attending didn't offer programs that can highlight the programs that we currently have. So while in our programs, students receive leadership development, real world healthcare industry exposure, training workshops, network opportunities, job readiness, and potential for future employment. We partner this year specifically with 64 Chicago public schools, and that includes all of the Noble Charter schools. We work closely with CTE, which is Career Technical Education. We work with those schools closely because they have a medical and allied health program. And now we're most recently also reaching out to their engineering program and culinary arts. Community-based organizations, we partner with a lot of organizations in the community to either help identify students that are attending our partner schools. Hospital staff, we have programs that are for our patients. So hospital staff are great referrals and partners of our programs as well. And then our funders, we have our funders involved in our programs by coming in and doing sessions on their work industry. Programming, we currently have 11 programs, and we target from middle school, high school, college, and beyond. Our youth enhancing skills, which is one of our newest, is our YES program. That is for middle school students, 5th through 8th grade, where we are actually going out to the schools and taking doctors, nurses, radiologists to the schools to talk about what they do. Discovering Healthcare Careers, which again was the first program that started them all, is the only one of our programs that's for Black and Brown students. And again, we're very specific in the schools that we're reaching out to and also the neighborhoods. That is an educational shadowing 6-week summer experience where students come in for 6 weeks. They're shadowing in the morning from 9 to 11. And then we have speakers or presenters as well as field trips that we plan for these students. Our higher education readiness opportunities is in partnering with like Rupert College, Malcolm X, National Louis, in offering their programs to our alumni students. Certification opportunities are also through that partnership, and that is for medical assistants, certified nursing assistants. We have an on-the-job training for sleep medicine and EEG tech, where we're working with that director that's specifically taking our alumni and putting them through this 1-year training. And then ultimately, I'm proud to say that 4 of our alumni have already been hired into those from the on-the-job training. Our alumni workforce development, we continue once they're in one of our programs, they never leave us. We continue by offering career coaching such as resume writing, mock interviews, public speaking. You know, we're here for reference letters for either acceptances to colleges or more importantly to jobs, specifically at Lurie, although we know that we have to share and not all of them want peds, so they can go to other hospitals as well. Medical terminology is something else that has been helpful, as not all of these students are receiving this in school unless they're in a CTE program. And very proudly to say that, you know, in collaboration with Human Resources, last fiscal year, we were able to hire 30 of our alumni, and this year we're currently at 20. And now I'm happy to take any questions. Sorry if I talked rapidly, but let me know if there's any questions that you would want to ask.
Maria, I have a question
Yes.
for you, even though I
Yes.
work with you. I'm going to ask you, it might help everybody. I'm
Yes.
curious, how do you keep up with these students who are evolving from middle school to high school? What are ways that you're keeping up with them and they're keeping up with you?
Great question. And because we just piloted our YES program, our goal was to strategically work with middle schools that are the feeders into the high schools that we are working with. And because now we're starting our collaboration at these schools with the principals and counselors, we are now going to be invited to like their 8th grade college fair where the schools are coming back, and those are our partner schools. So we'll be able to, because we can't get their records showing where they're going, but this is a perfect opportunity for us to meet their parents, the schools that they'll be attending, and then tell them about our high school programs, where this way they'll be able to continue and become that pipeline. So this is new. Definitely will let you know how it goes, because this year was the first pilot of that. And we've only piloted in Balta at Albany Park, which has 5 feeder high schools that we're currently working with. And then now we just ended the 6 weeks of the YES program at Belmont Cragen Elementary. And that again has 7 feeder schools that we're working with. So we're really looking forward to seeing how this is, but it is a pilot, so we will let you know how it goes. But that's how we're strategically working only with middle schools that are feeders to our high school. Thank you. If there isn't, and I know I've presented to this group in the past, but definitely wanted to have Jessica Duarte, my program manager, talk a little bit about her experience being an alumni of the program.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Jessica Duarte, and I have a little story for you all. So very happy to be here with everybody and to have the opportunity to share. So a little bit about me, a little prehistory, I guess I can go ahead and start off with that, is that I am 2nd generation in the US. So my grandparents are from Mexico. My parents were born here, and I had very young teenage parents. So because of that, they didn't have the opportunity to go to college themselves. So that was something that they always really struck in my head, to make sure that, education and a career was something that me and my siblings really kept our eyes on. And so if anybody else here had or has family members that either have been or are sick, you have probably heard some people, some loved ones say things to you like, oh, maybe one day you can take care of me, or you can learn from, our doctors and nurses to be a support system for me if, again, you've had anybody in your family that's been sick. And so I was definitely one of those people where many family members of mine were and still are sick. And so I think while growing up, they always nailed in my head over and over again, you're going to take care of us. You're going to be a doctor someday or work in the medical field. And I just kind of listened to that and really followed that path for a very long time. And so fast forward to my high school years, I had heard about this amazing program, had never heard of it before, but it was the first time I heard of this healthcare career internship opportunity for students that was called the Discovering Healthcare Careers program. And so I had the opportunity to go ahead and apply for that program many years ago when I was a junior in high school. at the time, the hospital was known as Children's Memorial Hospital. So not the Lurie's that it is today. It was very different. And even the team, right? So like when I think about it, Maria, she was the team. Now, fast forward to present day, Maria has a staff, right? Which is amazing. That also shows how much growth not only the hospital has had, the department has had, but just the team as a whole. So feel very honored to just be here. Like I get goosebumps just talking about it, to be here with you all right now. And so I did that program in 2010, and I was very happy to be a part of it. And during that time, right in high school, I had that amazing experience to participate in the internship where each week you're able to shadow different departments in the hospital. And I had already been working in what we call, right, jobs at the time. I was working in part-time jobs, and simultaneously I had the internship program going on. And so I had this like huge mind shift where I was working summer youth camps or programs. But then I also had this amazing experience with the Discovering Healthcare Careers internship to shadow these amazing healthcare staff, so many different people that it takes to make these programs run, to make a hospital run, to support students or youth and their families just across the board. And so when I was in the internship, I picked my top two areas of interest. And so the first was definitely pediatrics, knowing that I was always working in youth summer camps and youth programs. That was very near and dear to my heart. And then the second thing was surgery. So had a chance to shadow both of those departments. And by the end of the 6 weeks of the program, I was able to tell you exactly what it was that I wanted to do. And at the time, that was to be a pediatric surgeon. And so I remember at the end of the internship, I would always go home, share with my family, and they'd be so excited to hear like what happened that day and just the different things that you get to see, hear, learn about, and experience. And so they were very happy for me, right? Like, okay, you're gonna go be a doctor, you are gonna take care of us. That's the plan, that's the goal. And so come college time, right? So again, fast forward a few years later, I did declare pre-med with a concentration in biology. And again, simultaneously at the same time, I was still working part-time jobs here and there, similar to high school. They were youth development programs. So a lot of career readiness, academic readiness programs that I did during the summers. And when I would come back to Chicago, that was really where my time was, even on weekends, just really connecting with youth and community engagement. And so some of those programs, maybe some of us here have heard of them. One of them was Gear Up, another one, Youth Guidance, After School Matters. And again, just really like a lot of social emotional learning programs and career and academic readiness programs. So I had a complete change of heart. I remember one summer, one of the jobs that I had actually offered me to then work full-time. And so I had a huge mind shift, right? When we're thinking about that transactional job that we have versus the transformational career. I really had to make a choice. Like there's something that I really love to do, which is working with kids, working with children, working with youth, their families, and just the different ways that we can support them. But then also like having this fear of making a job / career shift within the healthcare field. And the fear was really just more so the disappointment of my family, which was huge because I did end up making that career shift, right? Which was a job led to career of me working with youth. And I remember to this day, just the way that my family reacted and how upset and disappointed they were with me after I told them of the change that I was making, and just how much time you spend, right? Like all of that, the years of education, the money that goes towards it. But I have to tell you all, I was so happy when I made that change. It felt right to this day. I do not regret it, not one bit. And healthcare still plays a really huge role in my life and in my heart as I'm here with you all today. And I'm very happy to be here with you all. And so I definitely had a shift, right, from what was a job to then led to a career. And so fast forward to present day, right, I can happily now share with you all that for the last 10 years, I've had the amazing opportunity to just work with several different nonprofit organizations across Chicago to serve youth and communities to receive access to things like whether it's academic and career readiness, access to healthcare opportunities. And a large part of that has really been through connection with people that I had as either managers, mentors, people such as yourselves, right? No matter where it is you're working, with who it is that you're working with. And I'm very thankful to Maria Rivera, of course, because she was definitely one of the people that I kept in contact with throughout all of these years, even during the different roles that I've held, to just, have touch points here and there, like, hey, how are you doing? Hey, are you still working here? Is there a way that we could go ahead and connect with either this school or this community for any resources that you may have? And so I feel very blessed now to be able to say what was once a job, whether I was in high school, whether I was in college, and again, never thought at that point in time that I would be working either in education or a combination of healthcare and education for youth, that this is what would be my career. And so, yes, my family at the time, they didn't understand. And they had, some uncertainties, but I know after they saw just how happy I was, and even now, like how happy I still am today, they're very proud. I know even for me, it was very challenging, but I also still feel very happy and very proud to say that that is something that I really followed my heart in. It was very difficult and challenging to do, but when thinking about a job versus a career, right, I think that's something that's also very important to be able to share, whether it be with family members, loved ones, friends, the work that we're doing, right? That's something that is a job. It very well can also eventually possibly even turn into a career if that's something that a person would like. And so that's a little bit about me and my story about how I was once a Discovering Healthcare Career student, a present day alum, and now full circle have been blessed and having this opportunity to come back as an employee at Lurie's for the mentorship and workforce development team. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to just be here with you all and share a little bit about the pathway for jobs to careers. And so I think with that, I'll go ahead and leave it open and see if there's any questions that I may be able to answer, and just kind of take it from there, whether it be through mic or through the chat.
I'll ask a question. I'll say
Yeah.
thank you first for sharing your story. Congratulations for finding the right path for you. And I would push back on any thoughts that the things you did, whether they were in school or internships, weren't worthwhile because they brought you where you are today.
Yes, definitely.
And I think that speaks to the value of all these types of this type of exposure to different opportunities. How many people do think they want to be a doctor at some point, and that's because we see doctors, we know what a doctor is, but there are so many different opportunities within the healthcare ecosystem that are important to expose people to at a young age. My question is, where do you want to go from here? and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but
That's a great
the career
question,
isn't over
April.
yet, right?
You're putting me on the hot seat here.
She's not leaving.
She's Maria's succession plan, right, Maria?
There you go.
That was great. Oh my goodness. Well, I definitely, I cannot express enough. I really just love the work that we do with youth, their families, and just community engagement. That's really where my heart is. I think that's the thing that's really just stayed consistent for me, even when I was on the pre-med track and having additional medical internships after that, even throughout college, was that I just really love helping people. I love working with youth, their families. I didn't know that I really enjoyed working with like their parents and their families as well until I think it was like, I don't know, much later throughout the 10 years of my career. But I started to really see that shift of, in order to continue the support with youth, whether it's in school, outside of school, after school programs, we need to also bridge that disconnect that there sometimes is with their families, right? Because we have X amount of time with students or youth in general, whether again in school or outside of school, but we need to have that continue outside of the time that we have together, which means at home, right? So as long as I'm still connected with youth and, their families in any way, shape, or form, I would love to do that. I know research is something that I really enjoy as well. I've had a couple different roles where I've been able to support with evaluation and research. And that's something that I also started to realize I enjoy much later, because it tells a story, right? I think when I was much younger, whether it was high school as part-time jobs, I didn't fully understand it, right? But my managers would say things like, I need numbers, I need you to get the data. And to me, it was like, oh my goodness, I want to go and talk to the students and their parents. But, fast forward several years later, and seeing, just the many moving pieces and what it really means behind the scenes, there's just so much more when it comes to the data and research that is then able to allow us to have things like either more funding, which then brings more resources, more staff. And so, yeah, I would say long story short, as long as I'm connected in that way, I would still love to. I love it. I love it. Yeah. I hope that answers your question, April. I'm sorry. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I was checking in the chat. Yeah, I am going to go ahead and pass it over to Joanne next. And just again, thank you so much. And Joanne, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joanna Roscoe. I'm a senior learning consultant in our clinical and organizational development department, and I'm excited to be with all of you today. While it's not an exhaustive list of what we offer our employees in the development space, I wanted to highlight a few programs that may be of interest that we offer to our incumbent workers. We do have a robust leadership development catalog, but a majority of those that I am going to highlight today are geared towards our individual contributors at various stages of their career. And so, Stevie, if you can go to the next slide. The first program I want to highlight for all of you is kind of bridging from what Jessica was talking about, is our DAYS program, and that stands for Developing and Advancing Your Skills, right? We all love a good acronym. And our target audience here is for the alumni of the programs that Maria and Jessica are working with and who become current employees at Lurie Children's. And so really the purpose is to not only stay connected with all of them, but to create a networking opportunities and like a career collaboration for our alumni, provide resources and education for those continuous skill development, support their growth and development, and foster career satisfaction in their work, ultimately focusing on building a long-term career at Lurie. And most of these participants, really, it's their first job post their formal education. I wouldn't say that's always correct, but probably 90% of the time, we are their first job post that formal education. So they're might be a little bit greener to the world of work. So one of the things that we like to do is make sure that they feel supported, make sure that they know that they have a place to go to ask some of those questions that they might not really know or have learned along the way, as it's their first job in first job and maybe they don't want to ask their manager, they don't want to ask a coworker, and they might feel vulnerable doing that. What we do is we meet quarterly, days meets quarterly, and we offer the session 2 times, once for our day shift and once for our evening staff too. And so it really, our goal is to continue that relationship we have with them into the employee experience, help with engagement, work satisfaction, retention, helping them with learning the culture. And so when we come together, we format it as tend to do an icebreaker for networking purposes and just getting to know one another. And then we'll do like a formal learning activity for about 20-25 minutes or so. And the last ones that we tend to do have been around the whole concept of professionalism and how to grow your career. And then we'll do a activity, a debrief, and then we open it up to kind of an ask the panel. And the panel is Maria's team and myself, and it's really an opportunity for them to ask questions or talk through scenarios or things that they've encountered new on the job and weren't 100% sure if they handled it correctly or how to deal with that in the future. So really, it's been a very positive experience. It's been fostering a sense of community and support as they grow their career. Stevie, next slide. All right, I may have cheated a little including this because we are piloting this a little bit later this summer, but we are looking to provide computer essential training with our support services area. So we are focusing on computer training for our environmental services and food services team to upskill, to increase basic computer skills, computer skills, and to provide development of skills necessary for career mobility opportunities, whether that be in their current department or elsewhere within the organization. And according to our support services leadership team, they do estimate that about 90% of our current employees in their area do not feel confident or comfortable using a computer. And so we are looking to partner with Microtrain to offer about 32 hours of on-site training over a 4-week period that would focus on computer fundamentals, Outlook, Word, and Excel. And we're going to be having, pre-post assessments. I'm really looking forward to seeing what progresses from there. We do have various online training resources available through LinkedIn Learning to learn software, but really nothing beats that hands-on instruction and the opportunity to ask questions in real time. So very, very excited to be able to get this up and running. All right, Stevie, next one. The next program that I want to talk about is our Administrative Professional Advisory Council. Again, going back to a good acronym, we use APAC here. And our target audience for this program is our administrative professionals. And really the purpose of the Administrative Professional Advisory Council, as you can see here, is to provide professional development, career advancement for our 600 plus administrative professionals in the various clinical, academic, operations, and access roles. And so our council is made up, our executive sponsors are our chief nurse officer and our chief people officer. And then we have an operational lead out of my department that sits on the council along with 30 administrative professionals, either in chair or committee membership roles. And that council collectively plans and creates activities and events and resources to support the growth and development of their peers in the areas of mentorship, orientation, onboarding, learning, network competency development, and recognition. And so this was actually formed based upon feedback that we got in focus groups and surveys, meeting with administrative professionals, as well as leaders of administrative professionals, really asking the question and identifying themes of what was needed for success and retention and engagement in the administrative professional role. And I think that one of the things that is so key about the success of this program is really it's for administrative professionals by administrative professionals. And it really focuses on our administrative professionals being the subject matter expert of their career. And, they do all the programming, all the events and resources because they are the subject matter experts. They know what they need. They know what their peers are dealing with. They know the issues, they know the trends, they know the themes. They hear what's going on around the workplace and what people need to learn. And so it's really been a very positive experience. The other thing that I have found is I've heard previously people in administrative professional roles say, you know what, Joanne, I don't know what to write for my goals anymore. I tend to be in a job that I do the same thing year after year. And while I love it, I just am not sure really where I can stretch and grow anymore. And so this council provides a leadership opportunity, some opportunities for our administrative professionals who want to grow and develop, maybe have some stretch opportunities, really for them to have a strong influence on the learning opportunities for their peers. Next slide, Stevie. All right, and Toastmasters. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Toastmasters, but Toastmasters is a non-for-profit educational organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through a network, a worldwide network of clubs. And so companies can actually have their own clubs. And so at Lurie, we started Toastmasters about 10 years ago. And we are actually the Lurie Children's Chi-Town Speakeasies, and are a strong group of about 25, on average 25 to 30 members who meet. And this club provides a supportive and positive learning experience, which empowers our employees to develop their public speaking, communication, and leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And we all know that public speaking is the number one fear, right? And so what it does is it really allows people to get over that fear in a supportive and friendly environment, in a safe space. So this club meets twice a month. And not only, does it focus on your communication skills, but it specifically helps you address that impromptu speaking, the prepared speeches, the opportunity for giving and receiving feedback, which is not an easy skill to develop, but one that's so essential in the workplace, and then meeting management. And then there's opportunity for leadership opportunities within Toastmasters. There's club officer roles, and then there's also each meeting has a different type of role attached to it. And this is really open to participants at all levels of their career. And it's really nice to see we have a good mix of people who are participating. Sometimes people just hop in and want to run by a speech that they have to give and get some feedback from their peers in a safe space. And the other thing that I really enjoy about Toastmasters is, you can go, if somebody wants to expand or enhance their communication skills, they can go to a one-day seminar, right? Maybe pay $250 or upwards to sit and listen to somebody give them tips or hand out resources on how to enhance their public speaking skills or communication skills. But Toastmasters really is very active. You have to get in, and the best way to learn or practice or to enhance your public speaking and communication skills is to do it. And that's one of the things that it's just awesome to see the growth that people have from their very first speech to when they finish up. And this has been definitely one of the things that we offer that has really been very successful and people have really, really enjoyed. So I encourage you to look into that if you don't have that already. All right, Stevie, next one. All right, and then while I know it's not really the most novel or innovative idea, but it always gets a lot of interest here for us at Lurie. And those are our on-site educational programs. And those are open to any of our employees that are interested and meet the school's requirements to participate. And so really, we're bringing continuing education to support our ongoing professional development to all our staff in a convenient location, and then it's amongst their peers. So all of our cohorts are close cohorts. So it's just always Lurie employees who are in the programs. And what has really been fun to see are the strong networking and collaborative relationships that have been developed amongst our cohorts. People are in class with other Lurie employees that they may never have interacted with previously. And particularly with our MBA program, we've even had I think we've had 5 doctors participate in the program too. So it's been a really, really good mix of employees as well. So we started our on-site MBA program through National Louis University back in 2002, and we have had 15 cohorts. Approximately about 270 of our employees have participated in this program. We have an on-site MSN, Master's of Science in Nursing, through Elmhurst University. We've had 8 cohorts since we began in 2014. We are starting our 9th cohort this fall in August. It offers 3 different tracks: clinical nurse leader, nurse educator, and nursing administration. We've had about 124 nurses complete that program so far. And then we also partner with DePaul University for an on-site master's in public health. And we began that in 2015. We've had 2 cohorts go through. Approximately 38 employees have completed that, and we're looking to start a 3rd one in 2024. And then lastly, wanted to share with you information about a newer program that we have launched, and it's a physician shadow board. And it's really our target audience is our early career faculty. And you can see here what the mission statement is, but it's really to bridge the gap between senior leadership and our early career faculty, those that are in their first 5 years of practice, to identify challenges, collaborate on solutions, promote growth, and champion ideas and initiatives across the departments. And really what it does is it gives our physicians a seat at the table with our senior leadership for guidance, insight into employee sentiment and experiences, and allows diverse perspectives to help steer the hospital and allow executives to remain engaged with the faculty workforce. Really, it's our practicing physicians. We care about their experience and what their feedback is and their ability and opportunity to share with leaders who no longer really have that opportunity to see and experience the day-to-day happenings. And so this is a newer program. Our first cohort wrapped in April. We had 32 physicians participate, and our second cohort will be starting in September, and they will be meeting to initially determine priorities and focus. They meet monthly to work on their various initiatives. And so, like I said, this is a newer program. If anyone is interested in learning more about it, please let me know. And while I do not personally oversee it, I am happy to connect you with the person who does if you are looking for more information. So I think I want to be cognizant of leaving some time, but does anybody have any questions? I was trying to speak fast to make sure I didn't go over.
There was one in the chat, Joanne. Do employees need to pay for our on-site master program?
They do, but what we do is we work with tuition assistance is applied to it as well. And then for our MBA program, we are able to kind of customize the schedule. And so it really allows some flexibility. We give people their summers off, which most people are excited to have, to kind of just regroup and do fun things in the summer. So it pushes the program and makes it a little bit longer, but then what it does, it allows us to maximize another year of tuition assistance. And so it makes it our on-site MBA program is roughly right about $6,100 out of pocket when all is said and done. And then the tuition assistance also applies to our MSN and our MPH. But yes, it's the tuition assistance covers it. And then anything above and beyond tuition assistance is out of pocket for the employee.
Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah, thank you.
So just to quickly recap what we learned today before I pass it back to April. So the importance of workforce development, not only does it benefit the organization, but more so the employee by creating those opportunities for upward mobility, whether that's exposure to a new medical profession that's not a doctor or a nurse that they've never heard of before, or gaining a certification on the job that can help advance their career. Understanding the difference between a job and a career, and knowing that, here at Lurie Children's, our focus is knowing that both of these exist, but helping those who want to pursue that advanced career and supporting them along the way. In terms of developing early careerists, it's about being strategic and partnering with schools and creating that early pipeline from middle school to high school, and knowing that that exposure is so important in the long term. And then for investing in our incumbent workers, what I really took away was understanding your population. So what might be needed for employees who might be newer, and how can we give them those lessons in professionalism and networking? And then whenever possible, let that population lead the way. So with that, any last questions? Otherwise, I will hand it back to April. Thank you all so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, Stevie, Maria, Joanne, Eileen, Jessica. Thank you all for being here and putting this together. I learned a lot. Joanne is particularly thrilled to hear about that diverse array of programs that you have together for incumbent workers. I am going to ask you a final question, unless anyone else wants to jump in. First, I just want to mention I did put a link in the chat to just a very quick standard, 3-question survey, just getting feedback on these Lunch and Learn series, and that helps us plan more in the future. So please take a moment to fill that out. I was particularly happy to learn about that Administrative Professional Advisory Council, Joanne, and in particular, the strategy of having it be, employee-led and in direct response to their feedback, and have them sort of build the solutions to their professional development themselves. And I'm wondering if there are any other ways that Lurie is trying to engage, elevate, employee voice and feedback in the way that they, in the way that you support your workforce.
Well, I think it's always important. We have various ways of hearing what people are looking to do. We have development plans that everybody's working on. Leaders share what their employees are mentioning to them. And then we listen for themes, we listen for trends, we listen for what people want. And then we work to try to be able to incorporate that into our career development space and programming. And I think that it's a really nice model, the Administrative Professional Advisory Council, that I think could be used in other particular areas. It works really well because it is our second largest group, and we did kind of loosely base it off of our nursing governance structure, which is obviously our biggest. Nursing is our biggest our biggest employee population. But I do think that it could be scaled down and utilized in various areas too, if there was interest expressed. Did I answer your question?
You did. No, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. I don't know if Eileen or Stevie or anybody else wants to add anything, piggybacking on that.
I just wanted to add, I know it's one of the reasons why I have stayed at Children's / Lurie for 31 years, going to be 31 years, because it's just the whole model of, for the patient care. They don't only care for the patient, but it's a family as a whole, but also, working for, it's one of the things that we tell the students, you have to love what you do. And I can seriously say, I love what I do. So wanted to leave it on that note.
I love that. On that note, I see we're about at time. So this was recorded, so I will send out the recording and the slide deck to everyone who registered for the event tomorrow, and I'll include it in our next CHWC newsletter. Thank you again to the whole team at Lurie. I really enjoyed this. I learned a lot. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Stevie and Eileen.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.